Bum 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 bum
You bad boy for life?
Nah, man. Hell no, man.
You're not bad boy for
Nah, I
life
am
no
not a.
more?
I was.
At one point?
I listen. Listen. I used to. I used to want to rock my Cartier
Yeah.
sunglasses
Because
because I was influenced by one of Harlem's
you're,
finest.
you're idle.
He wasn't my idol.
You lived your life by his stuff.
Nah, I didn't. Nah,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Like throughout the 90s, you were pretty much that guy.
Nah, I was a huge Mace fan. I was a huge Cameron
Oh,
fan. I was a huge
okay.
Dipset fan.
Uh-huh.
I like
Any
Harlem,
anybody else from the bad boy family?
Biggie.
You ain't like nobody else from the bad boy family. You were like, yeah, that dude's kind of cool.
Man, yo,
He got
yo.
all the
So, all
fine
right,
ones.
elephant in the room. I feel bad for Diddy because he's having one hell of a week.
Woo! Let me tell you who had the best week ever.
One hell of a week, bro. Like,
He in Antigua now.
is he really or because there was
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was
He flew out to Antigua, but apparently he spoke to the federal agents beforehand, and he wasn't told not to.
nah. I mean, so like, even though he has a private jet,
He can
you
go
can go
anywhere he
anywhere. You can
wants.
look that. So a lot of people don't know is if you have a private jet, if you know what their jet number is, you can just look that up on
Yeah,
the FAA
yeah, yeah. You guys just see
and
where they
see
are.
where it's at, where it's going.
It's all
It's
tracked.
everything is tracked.
With all of that, we just want to welcome everyone this week to
Yeah,
Star Flag
welcome.
Media, Drunken Idiots podcast. Want to thank everybody who watched the
Comedy
episode
show.
last week. Want to thank everybody who watched the episode last week. We had over 1,000 views on our last video, which for us it's a big jump. Um, we've had some spikes in our subscription this week, which we really don't know where it came from. It was at as high as 600 at one point, and now it's down to around the 120 mark. This looks to be the mark that we are going to be sticking around, hopefully.
Hopefully,
But if that's the case, 100 subscribers, we wanted to get there by the end of the year, and it looks like we got there now. I also want to give a special shout out to Sergeant America who bought us a coffee,
oh
and
wow,
um,
thank you, Sarge.
we, yeah, Sarge. Next week we will be using those funds when they are cleared by buymeacoffee.com, and we're gonna be having a drink because of our boy Sergeant America. So thank you for that. He wanted to celebrate when he saw that we climbed over to 500 subs. He sent us a congratulations. Here's a coffee for you
Oh,
guys.
that's what's up, man. Thank you.
So even though it looks like YouTube is regulating those subs, we still appreciate it. And man, shout out to Sarge for
Yeah,
that one. It was unexpected, and we really like that.
Sarge, man,
Thank you.
put your recommendation in the comments. What you think? What would you
Yeah,
like for us to? What type of coffee you would like for us to drink?
coffee. Yeah, anything you want, but also we also appreciate your comments every week, and when we do our top lists, which we are going to be doing from now on, um, leave your list as well, man. We'll talk about a viewers list, and if you're the only viewer every week that leaves a list, we'll talk about your list the following week.
Yeah,
So
tell us what you think. What's your
your
favorite,
what your top
and
fives are.
and give us a top five that you would like to hear us give out in your
Yeah,
opinion.
any suggestions on what you want to hear our thoughts on. So yeah, this week, man. So it's got to be Diddy's the top news.
Yes. Uh, Homeland Security (HSI) raided three of his homes
Oh, oh,
simultaneously.
oh,
Um,
poor Diddy.
I'm not saying.
We knew it was coming. We saw the
Well,
writing on the
I
wall since the whole Cassie thing started coming out.
I I was maybe a little bit more onto it since the whole Keefy
Before that,
D said
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Diddy owe
Well,
me.
We all know
Keefy
Keefe
D
D.
said Diddy owed me $1 million for killing Tupac, allegedly.
Right.
Um, but yeah, Diddy's been having a horrible week, and I'm not saying we it's been an open secret.
We know, yeah, we know these are all like, and the industry is finally holding people accountable for the stuff that's been going on since the beginning of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
this is nothing new, and they're just now going after people. The Harvey Weinsteins of the world, the R. Kellys of the world. I mean, hell, in the '90s they went hard after MJ. He just kind of dodged all those bullets.
Yeah,
But
you don't. But he ain't left
but he also
clean.
had Johnny Cochran.
You don't leave clean though. They do try to taint your
No,
image
yeah,
though.
yeah. Oh, and it was he absolutely even after he passed away. That's one of the first things when you talk about Michael Jackson is the
Yeah,
controversy, right? It's the music first, and then the controversy second. That's the first thing out of people's mouths.
yeah, but I don't
Puffy
care. I
is
still
in
listen.
trouble.
I still listen to Michael Jackson.
The music is
I still listen to
undeniable.
R. Kelly.
The music is
And
undeniable, and all the Puffy productions, the
when
music is
more
undeniable.
money, more problems start
Ugh,
playing, I'm gonna
yeah. Any Biggie
it's
song
verse for
or
verse.
Mace, Harlem World.
Um,
Da, 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 da,
yeah, man.
da,
So,
da, da,
but
da,
yeah, man,
da, da,
it's
da.
been a bad week for Puppy, and I'm not saying that he's guilty or whatever, but
I
if
am.
you got Homeland Security searching 3 homes on three
So
different coasts simultaneously,
right,
then
where there's smoke, there's
yeah,
fire.
it's definitely
So his
it's definitely smoke.
so Puff had an attorney on Fox News, his former attorney on there, who got him out of a previous
Was
similar
it
case.
911 shooting?
No, it was some kind of allegations against Diddy years ago, and this particular lawyer, exonerated him, got him
Hmm.
exonerated, and he said his opinion is that uh, the FBI or Homeland Security were interviewing people to try to get information out of them, and that normally when that doesn't go well and they aren't able to get information out of those people, in order to turn the heat up, what they do is raid the house of the suspect for probable cause, and then it makes the people that they're trying to get information out of nervous
Okay.
because
It's
maybe
theatrics.
they're next. It's a lot of theatrics, so it's a tactic
Yeah.
used to also pressure other people to say, "I do know what's
Yeah,
going
but you
on.
gotta get a
Here's
but
what's
you gotta get a
happening."
warrant to be able to just go in somebody's house though.
Oh
So
no,
so
yeah,
they
you need probable cause and get a
but
warrant, but
they would have
that's
had to
what his old attorney was saying
yeah.
on Fox News. So it's also like maybe it's not just they probably went into with probable cause, not knowing if they were going to find anything,
They're
but
hoping to find something.
they're and not just that. Now maybe they get cooperation out of other people out of fear that their homes are going to be
Yeah,
raided.
or they could get potential witnesses or confidence to
Talk a little closer, get
or
right.
they could get, potential witnesses or, confidants or whatever to start speaking more.
Yeah, all of that. So, um, well, Puff Daddy for life, right?
I don't know. He's gonna be in jail for life. I was
I don't know if
looking.
he's gonna go to jail. He's got enough money where he could fight this for a very long time, and we're gonna find
He,
out what happens. But
he's
his
he's not
his
going to. I don't think he's
reputation,
going to jail anytime soon.
right?
But he going to jail.
But he might do a year or two, and it's not gonna be like R. Kelly's
I
sentence.
think I was also watching the news, and they
He
said
don't got R. Kelly didn't have Puff Daddy money.
that's right, but how the last civil suit going, they were trying to set him up like it's like he has an organization,
That's fine,
and they
but those are
trying to
civil
RICO.
suits. So that's where the Homeland Security thing. They're trying to get federal criminal charges on him so that he can go to jail. Because all those other cases are all civil
Yeah,
suits,
so they're allegedly maybe the government thinks
and they're trying to do trafficking. They're trying to get him for
they
trafficking.
they think he's a kingpin, and that's how
Oh,
they got R. Kelly. They got R. Kelly with
you don't think that he's a of course
yeah,
he
but that's
is.
how they got R. Kelly.
Of
One of the
course he
girls
is.
was 17, which is the age of consent.
Yeah.
The state dropped the case, but the feds was like, nah, the law of the land is 18.
Yeah, that's not true. That's not what they got him for more than that. They didn't get him for the consent part. They got him for trafficking
Yeah, crossing state lines.
because
So
he
if you
yeah, you can't take her out of
and federal, yeah,
where
like
you're
so
from.
if you was in the state, if let's say you
If he would have just kept
let
her in and that it would
let's
have been
say
different.
let's say I meet a girl,
He also he also got hit with imprisonment. He never let the girl out.
well,
He never let her.
I mean,
He never let
I'm
her
not
go.
saying he's a saint. That
No,
that
no,
boy
no,
crazy.
no.
And I
Yeah, yeah.
think
But also he was R. Kelly, and a lot of people will forget that to be near celebrities, people do interesting things.
it's the remix to Ignition of the song that's about pissing.
Pissing girls in the kitchen. Mama's playing with Barbies. Got R. Kelly in submission.
Yeah. So did you catch?
Saying she is so young. It's the freaking weekend. I'm about to have some playover fun.
So I gotta just say,
R. Kelly,
I
man.
just
But
I just gotta say, I caught up on X-Men,
X-Men episode 3
and
is
you were
out.
right. Did you see it?
Oh, I saw it.
Um,
And they had a moment again where,
when
oh, I'm gonna go to take a
he said I'm gonna,
shower, Morph.
yeah.
And Morph is like, oh, let me go
Wait,
in there
no,
with
no,
you.
no, 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 no. Before that, he said I'm about to go see about a redhead, and then Gambit left to go check
He
up
said
on
one of the
Rogue,
many. He said one of the many.
and
Morph looked
he looked
sad.
sad, and he was like, and he said something about being sad. He's like, oh, and it's just me alone
Just
again.
Morph alone again.
Oh, and he went to the shower, and to his dream, to his illusion,
What was
it
it?
was Wolverine in the shower waiting for him, and I was like, oh my god, he was right. He
I
was right.
saw it
You
since I
said it.
saw it.
You were right.
And here's the thing. So like in the original show, Wolverine has an existential crisis when they killed Morph. Morph was never an original
He
comic
was
book
his best
character.
friend
They
in
made
the.
him, yeah, in the show, and they made him for the show. He was one of those characters. He was meant to be written off. But there was like a major plot point that Wolverine really cared about Morph, and this is a character, Wolverine being a character that doesn't really care about anybody. Um, so here's Morph, and then the first thing that I went into this new series is they announced before the show even
He
came
was
out that
non-binary.
Morph is going to be
Yep.
non-binary. Okay, which you can live with because okay, he's a
Yeah.
whatever. But it certainly wasn't that in the '90s because that term didn't
Nope.
exist. So X-Men '97, Morph is supposed to be non-binary, and then I saw him having the bar scene with Logan and drinking beers and the stuff that when they were kind of like just hanging out. I said, look, I got buddies. Me and him, we drink every week here. We do the Drunken Idiots podcast every week here. And the way Morph was playing around with Wolverine, and Wolverine was like, ha ha, ha, you're just an idiot, Morph. Cut it out. But in my head, it was like, Morph ain't playing.
Yeah.
Morph is trying to see where your line is.
Morph might be a P Diddy.
Morph is trying to see where Wolverine's
Morph
line
might be a
is.
predator, man. It's
We're gonna
sad.
find out. And these are this show is written in advance, and it's already done, and they have season 2
And
already
then they
written
fired
in
the
advance.
showrunner. So I'm
and,
also
and remember last year what he said. He says this is gonna be my show. It's gonna be coming from the experience as a gay black man. That's what he said last year, literally to this day. So I went into this show with low expectations. However, with that said, as long as right now they're toying with that idea, in my opinion, they're kind of putting it out there and they're slowly creeping it into the show. Um, the rest of the episode was good. What did you think of it?
yeah, I thought it was good, man. Mr. Sinister is back, and how we had
We
the
find out
clone, and
we found out Jean Grey's a
she
clone,
went crazy. Um,
and she was badass when she was crazy.
yeah,
She turns into I believe
the
they call her in the
Goblin
comic
Queen.
was the Queen Goblin. Yeah, the Queen Goblin or the Goblin Queen.
I thought it was good. I thought maybe they rushed it. I don't know. I don't know what else they have planned for the series, but
It's gonna be a lot.
in my opinion, I would say, man, I give it like an 8 out of 10. I think they could have, they
Yeah,
could have,
this is
I
a good
think they could have
episode.
did it, stretched it out to 2 episodes. Pause.
I kind of like where they're going with it. I don't think Mr. Sinister's gone by any stretch
Oh
of the
no, no, no.
imagination. He's gonna be around. I think the idea of having a clone Jean hanging around for more than one episode is a little much. So I'm kind of glad they got rid of
Okay.
her right away. We do, for those of you
Do we
who
know how many
aren't
episodes
familiar,
we're getting for this season?
I think it's 10.
Oh, okay. So that's
Yeah, I
episode
think it's
three.
10
So they're all right. They're
episodes.
moving quick.
Yeah. So and there is a season 2 planned.
Okay.
So we know that we're at least gonna get one more season of X-Men after this one is done. I wanted, with that said, X-Men, I would agree, 8 out of 10, great episode so far. The show has not disappointed me, even with the underlying messages and all that. It's not killing the vibe, and I still
Yeah,
enjoy
it's
it.
still good.
It's
And
still
you
good.
caught up on Invincible.
That's the other thing I wanted to transition to is Invincible. You talked about it a little bit last week, and I caught up, and it's a great show. Nothing you said was wrong. Obviously, I had watched most of season
Yeah.
one, but I went back and I watched the entire first
Yep.
season so that I can catch up. And I know that there's a new episode that I haven't
Yep.
watched as of yesterday. I haven't watched it, so I'll watch that tonight, and I'll give my thoughts on that. I want to say, just to recap really quick, season one, from beginning to end, from the pilot episode to the end, it was I would say a 9.5 out of 10. Season one
It's
was
I
amazing.
agree. I think it's a
Um,
really great show, even though it's animated. But like,
oh yeah, no,
but
it's
for
up
an
there
animation, it's like
for any superhero type show.
the acting,
Period. Period.
the voice acting, all that is it
The
yeah, the
writing,
writing.
everything. It's adult,
It's a
obviously,
great show.
way more violent and things like that. But after you get past like the violence and all that, the writing is still really good and the storytelling is still really good because really that's what makes me stick
Yep.
around. The first time I saw Omni Man in the first season fighting like their version of the Justice League, the Guardians, um,
Hell of a fight.
which is like the go to thing that everybody always clips and watches over and over on YouTube. Um, you get like, holy crap, this is really gory and it's over the top. But once you get past the gore and all that, I can actually, if there was like a PG version of the show, I'd be totally still into it, just like I am into it now. I might actually, I'm not sure if I would prefer it to be PG because obviously it just brings it to another level. Um, but I think if it was a PG show, this would be extremely popular with the kids. It would be outrageously
Yeah.
popular with the kids. But it's definitely aimed at adults. I saw that Seth Rogen is one of the producers of the
Yeah.
show. He does some of the voicing.
Yep.
I've noticed as well. Season two, uh, it's great. I still think season one is a little bit better, and it's only because there's less Omni Man
Yep.
in it, and they're building up to it. There's a reason
Yep.
for it. Um, but the episodes that do have Omni Man in season
It's
two are my
it's
favorite episodes
it's
so
just
far.
he's so
He's
J.K.
Superman.
What's
He's
his name?
great.
Something Simmons, the guy from Spider
Uh
Man.
oh, J.
Yeah,
Jonah Jameson. Yeah,
his
yeah.
voice is great. Um, when he acts, it's just when he's
And he looks like J. Jonah
yeah when he's
Jameson.
Omni Man, he's just great.
Yeah, he's
And
fantastic.
it looks like he might be. It looks like we might be getting Omni Man this season.
I hope so.
Um, that's what it's looking like. And
Yeah, and thank God because I'm not taking anything away from any of the other characters because they're all great in their own rights. Just Omni Man is the catalyst of the show, and we all know that they're building up for that Invincible, the
yeah,
lead title character, for him to be the guy. I still watch the show for
yeah,
Omni Man. I'm still watching it for Omni Man, and I know they hinted at the very beginning of season two that they're gonna team up. Spoiler alert for anybody out there, and that they're just gonna take over the planet. I still think that was an alternate reality.
okay.
So remember the black dude that goes
Oh, yep,
through
yep, 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 yep.
and I think that was one of the realities that he was kind of
Yeah,
morphing through the portals. I think that's what that I think that's a swerve. I think that's a distraction for us. This is my predictions, of course, but I think that that's an alternate reality where Invincible and Omni Man team up and are like, "Eff it, we're gonna really take over Earth," and that perhaps, perhaps they're gonna bring in this Invincible to go free the other. I'm
yeah.
totally
That
just making all
listen,
of this up.
that would be cool.
I'm just totally
That
making, but
sounds cool.
that's the only way. Because remember in Injustice,
Yeah, to beat Superman,
to beat
you
Superman,
gotta bring a suit.
you got to bring a
Yep.
Superman. So how can you beat Invincible and Omni Man?
Yeah,
You're gonna have to bring in another Invincible and Omni Man.
yeah. I wasn't thinking that far ahead.
I'm, I'm, I'm just,
But I,
yeah, it's cool. It's a great show.
I'll say this. Episode 8. So now we got 2 more episodes after that. It's starting.
Don't spoil
I'm
anything
just
for
gonna
me.
say that they're wrapping up this. They're starting to wrap up the season.
You can see the ending
Yeah.
coming.
So they're
Okay, good.
ramping. They're ramping up. So we get how we get how Invincible is feeling. Not being with his father and
Mhm.
um trying to understand
You called mom a dog,
a
a
pet.
pet.
That was hilarious. So we get
It was tongue kissing bugs in the next planet.
yeah, man. So we get how Invincible is feeling with his powers, with his father,
Yeah.
and his life, and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, things got real, and there needs to be a decision made. And with Invincible, he got to decide what he got to do. So
Right.
they're gearing up towards that, and yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Great
It's a
show.
great
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 show.
show. Highly recommend.
So yeah, quickly going over boring stuff for our audience, but yeah, I just want to say again, we were looking over our analytics and things that you all respond to out there when we make our videos, and the highest watch portions of our videos are our lists.
Oh yeah, let's
So
get it.
people are into that. And last week we did our top Super Nintendo games of all
Okay.
time, and the week before that we did our best fighting games of
Yep.
all time. So this week we are going to hit the racing category.
Okay.
We both love
Yeah,
racing
I
games,
do.
and we're going to talk about your top 5 racing games of all time. I know you don't do a particular order. Perhaps um, I should start doing that because I've already swapped out a
Yeah.
couple in my head.
Okay.
But yeah, and then we'll do an honorable mention if you have
Okay.
one. So number 5 and
Yeah.
why?
So I don't do them in order. Y'all know that. But
Yeah, yeah, but just for our purposes.
but
For the purpose of the video and the short, number 5.
Mario Kart 64. You couldn't tell me nothing. I pick Yoshi, Toad, or Princess,
I love
and I
Toad.
would jump over that wall on Wario's racetrack.
War Stadium.
I
Hmm.
would jump over that wall on Rainbow Road.
Yeah.
Um, if I knew you weren't, if for me to
Uh,
judge, I was so good at that.
let me tell you. Let me tell you about just. I don't mean to cut you off, but I used to play that game here with my cousins all the time, and I was never good at jumping the wall or Rainbow
Hmm.
Road. So I made sure we made a rule that if you did that, you lost, because I couldn't do it.
Yo, I was so good that I would uh I would pick Toad's Circus. Toad's with the one with the traffic and the cars. I do that on
Oh
purpose
yeah,
and be like,
what a
let's see
great
how good
match.
you are. And I
Yeah,
would, you know, I would swerve and slide and boost and
yeah. I don't want to jump ahead of you. I don't know if this is gonna be on your list because you just picked Mario Kart 64, but you were a force to be reckoned with on Mario Kart Wii as well.
yes,
You were a
I
force to be reckoned
Mario
with
Kart Wii
Wii.
is yeah.
Anyway, so I'm not sure if it's on your list. I'm sorry if it is, but you were disgusting to play against. I think we played 3 or 4 times, and I was like, I'm good. We'll never play
The
again.
only Mario Kart that I never played, well, I played, but I never owned, so I never got to see how good I was in it. Is Double Dash on the GameCube.
You had the DS version, Mario Kart DS,
I had
and Mario Kart
no, I was
7 on
nice on
3DS.
Mario. I was nice on DS, but I said Double Dash.
Man, Double Dash for GameCube.
Yeah, GameCube, the GameCube
Yeah,
version.
great. One of the best underrated games. Yeah, great pick. Mario Kart 64, number 5. I'm going to go with my number 5, and that is going to be Burnout. Burnout doesn't really get a lot of love when it comes to racing games, and I know there's a lot of Burnout games out there. I'm going to particularly say the one Burnout
Oh
2.
my God, that's the best Burnout ever.
So for Acclaim, it was made by
Oh my
Acclaim. Still, when
God,
Acclaim was still a company, they at the time focused on physics. So here you had this game that you still had this killer
it looked
racing
really. The
title
graphics were
at the
great though
time
too.
were amazing.
They
And then when
probably
you
still hold up,
crashed,
do they?
it's PS2. Yeah, I think so. It would definitely be an amazing mobile game to have today. The physics were what really got me though. Crashing, they had a whole
Yeah.
crash mode where you could just see your car crash in slow motion and crumble up, and it was like, oh my god, what? It was the first time they were pushing physics engines that was mainstream in a way that it wasn't just about graphics at this point. It was just like, man, this game it
Oh,
plays
excuse me, guys.
amazingly well. Burnout 2. That's my number
Yeah.
5.
I'm just gonna piggyback on that pause. Burnout 2. It's
No Diddy.
no Diddy. It's a. I would put that up there, man. I put that up
It's a
there
good pick.
because,
It's a good pick. Underrated.
and the reason why I say Burnout 2 is because with Burnout 3, that's when they changed. Something
The
changed.
formula changed. It wasn't bad, but
It
the
became
formula
all
changed.
about crashing and not about the
It's
racing.
because Acclaim no longer made the
Okay.
game. I think it was given over to Electronic
Okay.
Arts.
So Burnout 2, I remember it was a
But Burnout is its own
yeah.
thing now. It's completely different.
Burnout 2, Burnout 1 was also great. Burnout 2 was like perfection,
Perfect.
and it was about
Perfect.
the race. It was about going fast and winning the race. But if you
But when you
crashed,
crashed,
oh, you gonna crash.
when you
Yeah.
crash,
Um.
because you will crash.
But yeah, that's
Badass.
good.
Yeah.
Um. So number 4, I guess for me, I got a Road Rash. Road Rash on the Sega. I don't.
So you remember one of those games that last week when you said we were talking about fighting games and you said the 3DO
Yeah.
version? Road Rash on 3DO was the superior version.
I played that a few times. Shout out to
Also,
Spaceman 64 with the
Need for Speed started on 3DO.
yep.
But yeah, go on.
Um
Road Rash.
Road
Great
Rash on
game.
the
Great
Sega.
game.
Um
Sega
I
Genesis.
never forget waking up, me and my cousin, we would bet 50 cent honey buns, 25 cent, 50 cent, because back
They
then
were a
it was
quarter
a
back
quarter
then. They
for a
were a
bag of
quarter.
chips, and
Yeah, they were a
so we
quarter.
used to bet on
In my brain, they still are a quarter. I
who
don't know.
would win. Yeah, honey buns probably like $1.50 now.
Yeah, it's
Um,
wild.
but yeah, we used to play Road Rash, and we used to want to just keep racing to upgrade the next bikes to get better bikes. Um,
What a fun game when you're just nailing people on the
and
road.
yeah, and whenever we caught up to each other, we just
Hmm.
knew we gonna fight. So,
Yeah,
um,
classic.
I was a beast with that chain. No Diddy.
Great. What a freaking great game.
Um,
It had really good audio at the
good
time too.
audio, the sense of
Hmm.
speed when you're accelerating and you're moving. Sticking the tire
The
iron and then the jack through the
yeah,
car, making them through the wheel,
yeah.
making them flip.
It was like digitized graphics almost. It looked really good.
Burnout was
Road Rash.
oh yeah, Road Rash. I'm sorry, I'm drunk, but Road Rash. That's what I'm thinking about. Road Rash was amazing. It's amazing.
Great.
That's I gotta put that up there.
What a wonderful game. Here's gonna be my number 4, and this game was made by the Triforce of the GameCube era. Nintendo during the GameCube era had the Triforce of gaming, and it was Sega, Namco, and Nintendo. And they gave up F Zero as the franchise. So Namco was in charge of making the arcade version of F Zero, and then Sega was in charge of making the GameCube version of F
Oh
Zero.
wow.
And so Nintendo allowed them both to make that game. And when you play the GameCube version, to this day, it runs at 60 frames per second on the
Yeah.
GameCube at 480p, and people have modified it to look at 1080. It is one of the best looking games of that generation, period.
Sega made it.
Made by Sega,
Sega
period.
said we can't fuck up this
One
check.
of the best, yeah, no, and Namco, the
Yeah.
arcade version,
Yep.
holy crap, amazing. By the way, Namco to this day still makes the Mario Kart versions of the
Okay.
arcade for Nintendo. Which means
Yeah.
they got it right. And Sega ported that F Zero GX on the GameCube. Go look that game up. It is still beautiful. The sense of speed is ridiculous. So difficult,
Yep.
hard game. I couldn't say I beat the game because I didn't. But it's one of my favorite racing games because it makes you want to continue to try to
Yep.
beat it because it is so good.
Okay. You said F-Zero. Um.
F Zero GX.
All right. Boom. We're gonna take it to 64.
Another 64 game.
Yep. Beetle
Adventure.
Adventure Racing. Um. Again, same cousin we was playing Road Rash. He probably, if he hear this, he gonna be like, "Yo, I remember that. We used to battle all the time."
What a fucking good
Um,
game.
Beetle Bug Adventure Racing. All you had to pick was you had your little Volkswagen Beetle,
Everybody had a Beetle.
but once you start to win the game and beat the game, you can unlock, special cars. But the sense,
How many alternate like routes were in
oh
that
yeah,
game?
there was
Secret routes,
a lot of shortcuts.
shortcuts, and it was just oh my! For the N64, even though there was a lot of fog, the
It was good.
graphics
It looked amazing.
and it was smart of them because the only car in the game was a
Yep,
Beetle, so they didn't really have to put too many
yep,
assets into like multiple. It was like just color
yep.
swap.
But I remember, I don't remember what's better. I think I know what's better.
It's so good.
I remember, I don't know, if, I can't remember the order, but I say this.
Yeah,
I remember unlocking the police car,
yeah.
and I was like, oh,
You could chase. You chase and then beat. You could. Could you pull people
I
over with the
don't
police car?
remember,
I don't remember what the
but
mode is, but I think
they
there
had a
was.
battle mode. But
Yeah,
when it
yeah,
come to racing, the police car, I thought
yeah.
it could get no better, and then I finally beat. Either I finally beat the game and I unlocked an
Yeah.
alien car, the alien
Uh-huh,
beetle,
yeah.
and it just had the best handling,
That's so
everything,
good.
and
The tracks were amazing.
yo, that right there. I remember my cousin,
One of the best racing games of that era,
yeah, my
period.
cousin live. Shout out to
32
him.
bits.
Uh, my cousin William, aka Spanky. We used to battle on
Oh,
that
Diddy.
too. Um, it was it was just a great racing game,
And an N64 exclusive.
and I didn't
There
know
were a
that,
few
but
that,
but
yeah.
let me tell you how much I love this game. It was uh it was a random Hollywood video night. Let me borrow this game.
We're going to do an N64 special next,
Let me
guys.
borrow
Because
yeah.
N64 was a special
Let me
system.
borrow this game. Let me rent this game. I like the game, and I was just like, oh, I gotta buy it. I gotta get the
Phenomenal.
game.
Yeah,
And
yeah, phenomenal. One of the few times you rent the game and you go,
yeah,
I want it. And I'm not going to like just rent it. It reminds me of another game that we'll talk about during our N64 list next week. Now we know what we got next week, because there's just so many bangers on that console. Um, okay, number three. We're at number three. It's going to be another N64 game, Diddy Kong Racing.
wow.
Diddy Kong Racing. Uh, what can you say? You could choose a land vehicle, you could choose an ocean vehicle or a water vehicle, or you can choose an air vehicle. You could be a plane. Your buddy can
A
choose to
hovercraft.
go the route, yeah, a hovercraft, or your other buddy can choose a car. And the tracks all really depended on what you chose. It was so cool to be like, oh, I'm gonna pick a plane, right? Because it's obviously gonna be better. Well, not necessarily. Some levels were way better for the hovercraft, and some were designed for the cars. Diddy Kong Racing was originally going to be just a rare racing
Yep.
game for Conker, because Conker, this makes his first
Yeah,
appearance on
I
there
remember
from
that.
Conker's Bad Fur Day before he had a foul mouth and all that. And it was Rare's game, and they showcased it to Nintendo, and Nintendo at that time owned 51% of Rare, and they said, "Oh, ho, ho, you're making this a Diddy Kong game." And then, based off of the success of Diddy Kong Racing, there was a Donkey Kong Racing game that was going to come out on GameCube later on. That after the Microsoft
It never came
acquisition was
out.
canceled,
Oh
never
my
came out.
god.
It's on the box of the GameCube. You guys can go back and look at the GameCube on the back of the box. You can see the
I'm hurt
screenshots for it.
because that game always needed a sequel.
And it was going to be
I
on the GameCube. Can you
I
imagine?
nah like
Fantastic game. Great
yeah
characters,
I
great levels, great vehicles.
oh man, arguably I
You
really
liked it more than Mario
no
Kart?
it
It was
was
different. It was different because it also
it,
had a single
it had
player,
a story mode
like
too.
the story mode.
The
Yeah,
only
it had
thing
a
that
story mode.
I liked everything about Diddy Kong, but like I just felt like the sense of speed wasn't there.
No, it was slower. It was
Um,
slower, but it was
but
bigger.
if it had more speed, like compared to
If the next one,
compared to Mario Kart 64
yeah,
150cc, then
yeah.
it would have definitely beat that, in
So
my opinion.
the tech demo that they showed off, it was like a tech demo that they actually showed off for Donkey Kong Racing. They weren't going to use vehicles; they were going to use the animals from the Donkey Kong Country.
Okay,
So the ocean would be like
riding a
riding
dolphin or whatever, the whatever.
the yeah
Okay,
swordfish, and then the land level
on
was
the
gonna be like on
rhino.
the rhino, and then they had like the
Yeah,
ostrich or whatever, and then they had like what yeah, so it was gonna be like that. But I had a feeling it would have been amazing because Rare, under the guidance of Nintendo, was making bangers after bangers
yeah.
every year under the guidance of
I,
Nintendo. So
I'm
that's
mad
my
we
pick
never got a
for number
sequel.
3. Yeah, and it was this close. This close. Microsoft, for those who don't know, purchased a Rare right after that for the original Xbox, and quickly we noticed the difference between what happens when you let Rare make their own games without Nintendo on their own. The first game that came out was grabbed by the Ghoulies for the Xbox. Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that some other time.
Um.
We'll talk about
So
that
number
some other
two,
time. Yes, number 2.
Need for Speed, Most Wanted, Underground 2. I already said this before.
Most Wanted.
I ain't say Most Wanted. I said Underground 2.
You said Most Wanted
I said
Underground
Need for
too.
Speed. I did say that. I'm sorry. Need for Speed, Underground 2. We mentioned this before.
This is not your number 1.
We mentioned this before.
What a great game.
As far as an arcade sim, I think that's my favorite arcade racing sim that has real
We'll bring
cars,
it up again. The soundtrack.
the soundtrack, the Little John, the
Yeah, we
Ti.
gotta
Ti
bring it up.
just
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
bubbling. We had Fat
The
Joe
soundtrack
lean
was
back.
so good, so good.
I used to pick
Graphics at the time.
my favorite car was I had the Mazda. I had the Miata. Um, and yeah, I had the resources to see what's the best car in the game. But after using all the cars, you know that little Miata was hitting every corner and was accelerating and was
Hmm.
pulling out, pause, and you
Hmm.
hit the boost, the nitro, the near misses.
Great game.
It was
Great game.
my cousin used to be like
The
the
customization. There was
customization.
so
Yo,
much. It
my
was just
cousin,
out of this world. Out
my
of this
same
world.
cousin back from Road Rash with the Sega days.
Yeah, you guys played a lot of
Yeah,
video
he used to
games.
be like, yo, he used to be like, oh, you picking that Miata? Like, oh, you picking that girl car? I'd be like, nigga, I like, nigga,
Alright,
this
you
shit is
ready?
fast, bro.
Yeah, I don't care what it is.
He was picking cars off the
By
name.
the way, like I know it is a girl
It
car,
is.
whatever that means, but Miatas are kind of nice. I've seen them in person, and they're kind of
Yeah, look like
nice.
them little BMW Roadsters.
Yeah, like they could be something
But
special.
but yeah,
I like
it's a
Mazdas.
bit
My last car was a
yeah,
Mazda.
it's for me it's a video game. So I don't
Zoom,
actually own
zoom,
the
zoom.
car, but
Yeah, yeah. But either way,
but
great, great.
what for me when it comes to racing
That was your
games,
pick.
I like
I thought this was
I
gonna be your
like
number 1 pick.
handling, pause, and I like acceleration. So
You like to see him scramble away
oh
like
shit,
Diddy.
like sucks you scrambling, scraping. Nah, man, like that's funny, but nah, real shit. Um, back
Oh,
back since
Diddy, you
Mario
fucked
Kart
up.
64.
Yeah, good
Um,
times, man.
I Yoshi, Peach, and
Th-
Toad. I always like the quick acceleration guys because
yeah, I
you can
like Toad as well.
come around the corners quick.
If you get hit, you can take off
Yeah,
quicker. Yeah, yeah.
I was always like
They all had their advantages and their
yeah, I was
balances.
always
The Miata's a cool
uh,
car.
a handling and acceleration guy, and that was the
Yeah,
best car for me. And then my backup,
I used to like picking the Eclipse. I think it was the
my
Eclipse.
backup was the so if I wanted to really do you dirty, so if you was so pause
Pause.
with Need for Speed Underground 2, right? So now after I beat you with the
Ain't
Miata,
nobody doing me
after I
dirty.
beat you with the Miata,
You ain't
and
beating me in nothing.
you talk shit,
Yeah.
right?
What'd you pick?
I picked the Mazda, the RX-8 or RX-7.
Another Mazda that kind of looks the part. I also like in real life. Another Mazda that I kind of saw in real life, and I was like, I kind of like the RX
I
series.
picked that RX. I think it was the 7 or 8, but
Yeah, I think
I picked
7 or 8.
that. I picked that RX,
Great car, great little car, and
and I'd
also
be like,
great in the
"Where
game.
you still? Oh, cause you
I just remember spending hours playing that game, just customizing the car, graffiti. You could just do so much in the video game. It was one of those. It felt like a sim game, even though it was totally
yeah
an arcade game.
yeah
Fantastic, man! What a good freaking pick. What system did you own it on? Because it came out on
yeah." I had it
everything.
on
You had
Xbox,
an Xbox or
original
Xbox? Okay,
Xbox.
all right. We'll do an Xbox list one of these days as well. OG Xbox and 360. Great consoles. Number 2 for me.
Yep.
Yeah, number 2. I am going to go with a game that I have. If
Oh,
you
number
guys
one.
look me up on, I'm number 2, and then
Oh, okay,
honorable
okay,
mention.
yeah, yeah.
You just did yours. Yeah. So my number 2 is Apex Legends. Kiss my ass, all of you,
How was
all of you.
Apex
I know
Legends a racing game?
it's a racing game.
I thought Apex Legends was a shooting battle royale game.
It is not. It is Apex Legends is a racing game. The one that I spent hundreds of hours on the Switch. It is that free to play mobile game,
Is that
and
this Asphalt Legends?
you're thinking you are 1000% correct because I'm
I'm
drunk.
saying I'm like Apex Legends. That's the battle royale.
Because I am drunk, Chris is 1010% correct. Asphalt Legends. Kiss my ass, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that correction.
Now
It
I'm
would
gonna
have had to
pour
go
up,
up.
and I'm gonna just keep saying Need for Speed.
I'm on my second glass.
I'm
I'm
gonna
on my
say
second
Need for
glass.
Speed, Most Wanted, 2 Underground.
Wait, but let me finish. Let me finish. Yeah, most. If you guys don't know what show you're watching, we are the Drunken Idiots. So, uh, Apex Legends is not the game. Asphalt Legends is getting. So here's the thing. I stopped. I stopped playing Asphalt around.
The time you got your PC?
No, a little before that, like 4 months ago.
When the PC was on standby?
Our last trip to Colombia
Oh, okay.
in October.
Oh, okay.
I stopped playing it around then.
Bro.
So Passport Bros, and then so here's the thing. I still had dumped like maybe 200 hours into the video game, and I know it's a free to play game, but it's a game that I happen to be really really good at. I learned all the courses I have most of the vehicles. I beat in the single player mode. Um, I love that game. I'm not gonna lie, I love that game. There and I thought I was over it. I thought I was done with the game, and they just announced that they're doing Asphalt Legends Unite multiplayer update coming up, and so they're updating the graphics. The Switch version in particular, which was already again, this game is a mobile game, but it was a really good mobile game. I remember one time you walked into this room while I was playing it, and you said, "Graphics on that look really good," and this was a Switch game. 60 frames per second, just really pretty to look at. This is going to be improving upon that.
Guys,
Apparently, anyway,
when he's playing a game, because you like to play a lot of Switch games and a lot of games that are cross friendly, I'd be like,
yeah, I like to play Impossible ports on the Switch.
okay, I didn't know that.
I don't know why. I just really maybe it's because they're not supposed to run on the system. So most of the games that I play on the Switch are like games that are technically
Nintendo. Please send him a bag. Send him a bag of games to review. It sound like
I'm a huge Nintendo gamer.
It sound like listen.
Always have been. Always have been. That's not a secret.
I never forget you walked in your first day at work with a Nintendo belt buckle.
It was an NES belt buckle. Didn't care.
But
no F's given.
Yeah, but Asphalt Legend.
Nope, no problem with
it. Yep.
I didn't care back then. I was still getting pussy.
Asphalt Legend.
Asphalt Legends number 2. Great mobile game. Better on the Switch. Plays well. Can't wait for the new Unite update. I will be on there. That was my number 2. We're gonna go to an honorable mention. Do you have an honorable mention? Okay, cool.
Need for Speed Most Wanted on the Wii.
Oh, Wii
Yeah.
version.
Um.
That's unexpected.
Uh.
I have to go look up the specific Wii
I
version
think
video.
that's what it is. I think it's Most Wanted.
Yeah, I believe
But
you.
it
It's on
was
there.
the successor to Need for Speed. Yeah,
Underground.
Underground 2.
And you picked the Wii version. And you had an Xbox
Yeah, I had a 360.
360.
But let me so
There's a
the
reason
reason
for
is
this.
I was sold on the controllers, and
The reason I bought SmackDown versus Raw versus ECW was the controller would allow you to do. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
nah. So
But the controller would allow you to do the poses for the taunts. So if you want to be DX and say, suck it,
so
you had to really do it.
I hope I don't mess up the sound with this.
You will mess up the sound. Please
I'm
go
sorry.
back.
So
I'll mute.
you muted. All right. So y'all had a Wii. I know y'all had a Wii because we all did. It was like the new microwave. It's like it's like it's like what an air fryer is today. We all had a Wii. So I'm playing Need for Speed on the Wii, and on my right hand, pause, I would on my right hand I would accelerate, and I would dip the controller down like this, pause, and the brake was on my left hand, and I would pull back, pause, no Diddy. I know it gotta look crazy, but when I tell you, when you flying around a corner and you hitting the acceleration and you doing this and you like and you turn it and then you push back down and you on the gas, yo, that right there, gameplay alone, it was great. It's still not better than Underground 2, in my opinion, but it was still a great experience. It was a great experience.
So there's a lot of wrestling games on. There are a lot of games in general on the Wii that get. So the Wii, we all know, gets shit on because of its motion controls, and there was a lot of gimmicks and a lot of gimmicky games that came along with that. But there were a few experimental games, like what you just mentioned, that worked. That worked, and we can talk about this another day on another list of best controls on the Wii. I can make a list because you remember, I actually preferred playing on
For
Wii on
Black
certain
Ops 2, I
games.
remember that. We used to love Black Ops
Yeah,
2 on the
because
8.
of the pointer
Yeah,
controls. It was as close as you could get to a PC's
mouse and yep.
point. Yeah, mouse and keyboard. You had your analog, and you pointed at where you wanted to shoot. Um, so Most Wanted, or whatever version, I think it's Most Wanted. I think you are right on the Wii. I will say I played the game on the Wii, even though it was still original Xbox graphics at best. The controls really did work.
Yeah, it was
It made it its own
the
thing.
gameplay. Well, how I played it kept it up to.
EA did a really good job on the Wii. They really didn't. They get shit on a lot for being a shitty company, but they put a few games on there, even the Madden series on the Wii, where the motion controls were
Yeah,
something special.
they did good. They
They
did
did
good.
good
I didn't like Most Wanted.
on the other consoles.
No, I never played on the other consoles, but I just know that
They
coming
clearly they
from
clearly looked
Underground
better.
and Underground 2, and it's now it's Most
Yeah, yeah,
Wanted, I was
yeah.
it was it was
So
a
Most Wanted was
lackluster.
more like off of. It was more off of Hot
Yeah, it
Pursuit,
was lackluster to me personally.
which brings me to my
Okay,
honorable mention:
Hot Pursuit,
Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
3DO. That's the
The
first time I
3DO
played Need for
version.
Speed.
Yeah. So I don't think it was a 3DO version. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit,
Or
whichever version
PlayStation.
I played on the time. I think it was PlayStation. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit was cool because you had the cops, you had your you were just regular racer, but also like you didn't just weren't
Wait,
racing
it had
against
to look better on
your
the 3DO.
I think it was better on the PlayStation. Um, but either way, I'm pretty sure I played it on the PlayStation. I didn't have a 3DO, but my one of my family members, and it
Yeah.
wasn't my cousin. Somebody had a 3DO, and I played it on there. But I don't know about Hot Pursuit being on the 3DO. I know I played it on the PlayStation for sure. Hot Pursuit. Again, it was just cops versus you versus your opponent. And it really did create a new environment where you're not just racing against your opponent anymore. Now you got the cops hot on your ass, and any little mistake you make, it's your ass. It's either gonna pull you over, it's gonna be a problem, and you're gonna lose the round. You could also, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me because I'm drunk. I might be mistaking games, but you could also play as the cops. You could pull people over. You could be the police officer and go after people. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit also had very good graphics for the time. It was the 32-bit era. Electronic Arts finally took Need for Speed and they added the sense of, I mean, the game is called Need for Speed, but first time I felt like you felt like you were going fast. If you played the original Need for Speed
Yeah,
on the
it was like
3DO, it was slow.
it was a Gran Turismo. It was light,
Mm,
but not hard,
yeah,
but
but it
not
was still
arcade.
arcadey. It was still
Yeah,
very
it was a
arcadey.
mix.
It was arcadey,
They
but it wasn't. It was still
they kind
too
of took
slow. It
themselves
didn't.
a little serious.
Yeah, it was the first time that they really jumped into that. So I'm
It was
glad that
after
they did it
Burnout.
because they
It was after they bought.
no no
You said Hot Pursuit.
no, the first Need for Speed, that was
Oh, the
way
first Need for
before.
Speed. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hot Pursuit was before Burnout too, way before. We're talking about PS2 days. Um, but Hot Pursuit is not given a lot. Hot Pursuit 2 was after Burnout. Hot Pursuit 1 wasn't. Um, it's not given enough love out there because I see Hot Pursuit as the progression to what we got Underground. This is
Oh,
before
okay. That
Underground.
makes sense.
So, yeah, so Hot Pursuit became what Underground was and gave us Underground
Okay.
2. So this is like the
Okay.
granddaddy. This is the first one that kind of gave us the, oh, Need for Speed could be fast, it could be cool, it
Yeah.
could be fun. This is the breakout before the original, right after the original Need for Speed.
Okay.
Hot
Yeah.
Pursuit, my
I
honorable
played it
mention.
on the 3DO. It was.
I'm not sure about
I
that.
think I played a Need for Speed.
I think you played the first
I
Need for
I,
Speed
I
on the
played
3DO.
I played a Need for Speed on the 3DO.
Part one
I
for
can't
sure. I'm not sure.
remember.
We'll look it up.
I can't remember, but I
Jason,
played a
relax.
Need for Speed on the 3DO,
Yes,
and
I
it
know for
was
sure. Part
great.
one.
And I remember my cousin. It's a different cousin. He had a PlayStation, and he had a Need for Speed,
That's probably
and
Hot
it
Pursuit.
wasn't. It
As
wasn't
good.
as good. It wasn't what I was like expecting.
That's fine. Yeah,
Um,
and they are very different games. I think. I don't think Hot Pursuit was on 3DO. I owned the 3DO, but
yeah,
later in
but
life.
I could be wrong because if it wasn't a 3DO, it was on his PC.
Cause, but the
Um,
OG Need for Speed was
I'm
on
a,
everything.
I'm gonna link up Spaceman 64. I don't know if that's still his name, but I know he go by Spaceman. He had all the games,
64, huh?
all the games.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're also gonna do a
but
worst
shout out
list,
to
by
Need
the
for
way.
Speed.
Worst games you ever played.
So now
So
boom,
let's get ready, guys. Look things to look forward to. Number one, or whatever. I know no particular order, but yeah, the last game on your list.
last game on my list is I'm gonna say it's number one because fuck y'all. Because I could talk that shit.
Chris has a list this week with a number
Because it's
one.
fuck y'all.
Because fuck
Because I know
you.
you can't beat me in it, and not just you. I'm talking to the audience.
I believe him.
I'm talking to the audience.
Me and him do one thing. One thing for sure. Chris talks a lot of crap when it comes to video games, but if he's talking this much amount of crap, he's probably really sure about what he's about to say.
Mario Kart on the Wii.
And I go on.
Let me tell you.
Let
Can't
me tell you.
can't none of y'all see me on Mario Kart Wii? I would pick Daisy. I forget the cart, but I know what cart it is.
He
I know
knows.
what wheels to grab,
He
and
knows.
I would play globally online, and
Yeah.
maybe
Hackers.
there was maybe
Back when the Wii was
There
getting
was maybe
hacked
a
for the
six
Wii.
month span where I
Yeah.
was in the top 100 of the world. Um,
When it was being hacked, and he wasn't playing on a hacked system.
um,
I can attest to this.
I would lap people,
I
lap
know.
people online. Um,
Sadly, offline.
I Mario Kart Wii because it's the same formula. I like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch. I like all that. They brought it to the new gen. It's great. I love it. But Mario Kart Wii, you can't tell me nothing. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. If P Diddy came here right now and said, "Give me your butt," I'm gonna say no. But
He's gonna
but
say
if he
yeah.
said no, I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna give you a
If he said,
billion.
I say, all right, well, could I play you a Mario Kart Switch, a Mario Kart Wii, and have a chance to take that billion?
He's gonna say, nah, man, take that, take that.
Nah, nigga. Yo, but nah, real.
He's gonna tell. He's gonna look at you in your eyes and say, "I thought I told you that I won't stop. I thought."
Nigga, it's not happening. But but nah, real shit, real shit. Mario Kart on the Wii. You
Oh, man, you
yo,
were really good at that
I
game.
was I was a I was a beast, and I kind of like
There's so many
I mean,
good
I had an
games,
ex
man.
girlfriend, and I used to let her win, and she used to know that I let her win because
Yeah, I've done that. I've
because
done that. I've seen
she
you
would
play
jump
before.
online
You
when
do
I wasn't
this.
there, and she would like, yeah, I played Mario Kart, and I used your name, and I got
Got blown out of the
blown out the
water.
water, and I was like, yo, stop using my fucking name.
You're
Yeah, don't
killing my standings.
stop fucking my record up. I was that nice, and if there
You
was
were.
a if the e gaming scene was really lit back then, it was probably budding. So it's
But yeah, you
but
would have been
I
lit on that in that
yeah
version.
I could have made a
If
team.
it was an
I could
unhacked,
have
if it
made a
was an
team.
unhacked version of Mario Kart Wii, if there ever existed one, I would want
I
Chris
could
on my
have made
team,
a team.
100%,
I could have made
100%.
a team back then.
And I will 100% vouch for you guys. And I didn't mean to spoil that earlier in the video, but I will vouch for Chris being a legitimate threat in that game. There's very few games that I would talk shit in, and very few games that he would like to that extent. I
Mario
believe him,
Kart,
and
Street
I
Fighter,
believe him.
and Smash
Street
Brothers.
Fighter 2, I talk a lot of shit in. But yeah, anyway, my number one, and I had it in my head just 2 seconds ago, but because I'm drinking alcohol, it went away. Um, keep talking about the Wii version.
So the Mario Kart Wii version, they introduced
the fuck was my game,
they
guys?
your mic not muted, right?
You can
So the
keep
Mario
talking.
Kart Wii version, they introduced chaining. I was a beast at chaining, and chaining is
That started on the DS.
yes, that's where I
Yeah.
honed the skills because from
Yep.
64 to DS, it was a step up.
Okay, I got my number one.
It was a step up, but yeah, I'm a beast. I can't fuck with me, and I put money on it.
And he's right.
And
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 I'll vouch for that. All right, so I know many of you guys are screaming at the top of your lungs right now. How dare we include a top 10 list? 5 for him, 5 for me. Honorable mentions, not mention Forza,
Gran Turismo,
not. And this is where my number
Cruising
one
USA.
comes in. No, no. I'm going to go with what you guys probably wanted on the list, which is either a Forza game or a Gran
Okay.
Turismo game. And I'm going to say it is Gran Turismo, and I believe it is 7 or
Okay.
6 because I'm drunk. But it is on the PlayStation 2. The last Gran Turismo that came out on the PlayStation 2. Because I'm drunk, I will look up which number it is. I think it's 7, might be 6. Um, this came in at the very end of the PS2. Um, the reason it's on my list, and there's gonna be a couple of reasons, and one of these reasons you're probably gonna find hilarious. Sergeant America, our number one guy who bought us a coffee for next week, he said when he watched the PlayStation 2 version, and he might lie and say this never happened. He told me that when he watched the intro to the PS2 game, he got teary eyed
Mm.
at how beautiful the graphics were.
So I'm not gonna lie. The Forza and the Gran Turismos, they are great looking games,
So
especially back then.
my confession is, when I saw those graphics, is I couldn't believe
What he was saying.
I couldn't believe how
Okay.
good they looked for the PS2.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna say I got emotional about it, but I fucking
I got a
get
confession.
it. Go
My
for it.
cousin brought his PS2 over, the one from Road Rash, Beetlebug Adventure Racing. Um, he brought his PS2 over,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, you got your PS2?" He said, "Yeah, hook it up." So I went to go hook it up, and then he came back with a steering wheel, and he went back downstairs, and he came back up with pedals, and I was like, "All right, steering wheel pedals," and then it's going to.
He had the whole
And he
setup.
came back with like a shifter, and we played Gran
It was like,
Turismo,
oh my
and
god.
he was like, "Yo," we played the opening scene, and it was the same. He was like, "Yo, this
The
is
graphics
so
were
this is so
amazing.
good." Da, da, da. And
Yes.
my confession is, after playing Gran Turismo with the steering wheel and
And
the shifter,
the
the
whole
pedal,
nine.
I was scared to drive. I was young. I got my
Yeah.
license when I was 18.
Maybe I'm not a
I
race
got my
car
license when
driver.
I was 18, and at 16 I could have got my license. I had a job. I was getting money,
Yeah, of
whatever.
course.
But
For sure.
that kind of, it felt too real to me. I was like, it was too real. I'm on the grass,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Listen, when I first saw the cutscene, right? I was like, oh, it's CG.
That's also why I don't like Gran Turismo games. There you go.
CGI. But I played the game, and it's a sim, of course. And it has to be the only, and this is me seeing the original on the PlayStation, which for the time were groundbreaking as far as graphics and all of that, right? But when I saw the PS2, this is at the very end of the PS2's life cycle before we went into PS3. I could not believe what Sony was pulling off, what Polyphony Digital, the developer, was pulling off on the PlayStation 2. Um, I understood. I understood why Sergeant America
That nigga cried.
couldn't. I don't know if he say he cried. Say he got
That
teary
nigga
eyed.
said a tear.
I have to
He
quote
said
him
it can't get no
correctly.
better than this.
He
He
got
thought Michael
emotional
Jackson was in the room.
from how beautiful the graphics were. And I remember watching that opening. He
You
said
are
Michael Jackson should be
not
gentle.
alone.
And so
I'm here with you.
so just to wrap up the list, I just want to say the game was beautiful. The audio, if you guys, I'm going to put the intro in here for all of you and understand why. Uh, it was one of those games that I couldn't believe was running on a PlayStation 2. I really did think this was next gen graphics. You can stop now. On the next
He dropped a
consoles.
tear.
Me?
Sergeant Maker, you
Yeah,
dropped a
I mean,
tear
I'm
for
surprised you know that R. Kelly song so
R.
well.
Kelly's couldn't nobody beat him in a
You
versus.
really do defend. Didn't you just defend R. Kelly and P.
Couldn't
Diddy a
nobody
lot during
beat
this
R. Kelly in a
podcast?
versus
And the only Michael Jackson song you thought of was the R. Kelly version.
because he shed a tear. What Michael Jackson song gonna make you shed a tear?
Man in the Mirror.
Okay, I give you that.
That one.
I give you that. I had to think about it.
Hey, on a side note, Man in the Mirror, and I got loud. Man in the Mirror, strong message
Yeah,
for all of you
that's a
guys
good
out
one.
there. Yeah, that's a good one. There's a lot of good anime
Shit,
songs. We could do a top 10
man, we
MJ
do a
songs
top
one day.
5 songs that make you shed a tear.
That's a good list too. That's a good list
Man in the
too.
Mirror,
Movies, things like that. Yeah,
Man in the
definitely.
Mirror.
Anyway, let's not do that. Hold that list. Hold that list. Hold that list. Because every week it doesn't always have to be about video games, guys. But let us know, guys. Let us know what you guys want to see on the next episode of Starflag Media's Drunken Idiots. What is your top 5 racing games of all time? What do you guys think? Do you guys like his list better? Do you guys like my list better? I'll put a
Put a
poll up.
poll up.
You
And the
vote.
poll is gonna be
Which
can't none of y'all motherfuckers see me in Mario Kart on the fucking Wii.
the poll will actually be which list did you prefer? Did you prefer Chris's list of this top 5 with his
Yeah.
honorable mention, or did you like mine?
Hide from the list. Hide because you
And
can't beat me on
again,
Mario
leave
Kart.
us. That's not the list. And again, leave your comments
Like
below
and subscribe.
and
Yeah.
like and subscribe. Right? Yeah. Thank you guys for subscribing for either the 600 that will eventually be replaced or the 100
Hey
that's
man, I
currently
think
on
what
YouTube.
Vladimir Putin did to the terrorists, he did a great job.
I disagree.
Torture them.
Just for the algorithm. Just for the algorithm. And thank you guys all for joining us. We are opposing views for the algorithm, and join us here next week at Starflag Media's Drunken Idiots. My name is Anthony, and this is
Talents A60.
Christopher. Follow him.
And I'm on all platforms. It's Talents A60 or UWA Talent.
Follow him anyway, and thank you guys all for joining us this week. We are still working on our audio. We are working on a fix next week. If this is still terrible, we don't know. The program that we're using tends to kind of decide it wants to do its own
Yeah,
thing
I'm
halfway
sorry guys.
through.
We got a new system, a new PC setup, and
We're working it out, and I think I've got a fix for next week. If this week is still terrible, but thank you guys all for joining us, and again, as always, share, like, subscribe, and thank you guys for being here. And see you guys next week for Starflag Media, Drunken
deuces.
Idiot.